Hello and welcome to another how-to video from King Cole. Today we're looking at pattern 4763 and how to do the flowers here. So the section I'm going to work on is actually a straight piece of crochet that I've created, but you should be at a point where all this is joined together and you can just work around the yoke. Okay, so I've just done this little piece of crochet just so I've got something to anchor it onto, and we're going to work through it quite slowly because the instructions are quite detailed. They're not too difficult, but they're quite detailed. So we begin with a chain of 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you do a double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I go in there, bring that through and create my double crochet, and that forms a little ring there. Now this first one is only a partial flower because this is the beginning of the row. So then you chain 6, and it does have you turning the work so that you can work into that ring, and we're doing a double crochet there to anchor it into the ring, and it's asking us to do that 3 times, so I'm going to do it twice more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and another double crochet, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and another double crochet, all into that ring in the middle. So I've got 3 loops there. Then we're going to turn the work back around, which is that bit for now. Chain 1, 2, 3, and we need to slip stitch back to here. So that's the leg there, and slip stitch is when you just pull it through. Oops, got a bit tight there, and then through again. So you're not really creating a stitch, you're just anchoring that together. So that's got you to that point where you've got 3 loops, and then this is a 4th loop, but you have to create it slightly differently. Then we have a 3 chain, and we're going to miss 3 double crochets, so 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do a double crochet into that double crochet there, and we're going to do that twice. So another chain of 3, 1, 2, 3, and a double crochet. So what you've got there is a part flower and then 2 loops working across your work. They're called linking loops in the pattern. And then we're going to start again. So we're going to do another 7 chain. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again we're going to do a double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. So that's 1, 2, 3. This is 4. And that forms a ring. And then it's asking you to turn your work again and do 3 chains. So you're sort of working backwards at this point because you're then going to slip stitch into this, just into this 2nd chain of 3. So that would have been your 1st chain of 3, this is your 2nd chain. You're just slip stitching into that. You can either slip stitch into the gap, or if you prefer, I would say you could slip stitch into one of the stitches. Entirely up to you on that one. But that forms a little loop here, and then we do another 3 chains. and then we have to turn the work again and find that little ring that we did at first and do a double crochet into that ring. So that's how we're going to look at the moment. Then we're doing another 3 chains, and this is how we're going to start to join things. So you have to turn your work, and we're slip stitching into the last of the chain 6s that we did there. So at that point, that's what you look like. Okay, and then we've got a chain of 3 again, and we're turning the work back and working another double crochet, this time into the ring. So that's where you've got to at that point, and you can hopefully see that we've anchored it here, and we've anchored it to what's half a flower, or part of a flower there. So we've anchored it again in the middle, and then we are going to work a chain of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a double crochet into that ring, because we're now working on more flower petals. Do it again. 4, 5, 6. Slip stitch. Sorry, double crochet into the ring, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and another double crochet into the ring. So you've now got 3 petals showing. Then we've got a chain of 3, and then you're slip stitching into the same stitch where your initial chain of 7 was, and that creates, these will block as well, so if they seem a little bit odd to start with, don't worry, it works its way out as you go further along the line. So we've got 2 petals here, and then 4 more petals there. These are created with 3 chains and either slip stitch or double crochets to anchor them at various points. So that's what how these 3 are created, and these are done with a chain of 6 with a double crochet at that point. And then to finish off this combination, you do a chain of 3, you miss 1, 2, 3, and do a double crochet, and then a chain of 3, miss 1, 2, 3, and work another double crochet. So that's how you are working across. So what I will do is just work another one here, just so that you've got 2 examples of how to work this section, and then you work to the end, stopping at the point that it tells you to, so that you've worked another part flower at the end. So if we go back to where the star is, we're repeating. So we've got a chain of 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we turn, we chain 3, and slip stitch into here, and then another chain of 3, turn the work back around, go into the ring of the flower with that one, chain another 3, turn the work again, and this time we're working into that final big loopy petal there, and that's with a slip stitch. And then we turn the work again, do another chain of 3 and slip stitch back into the central circle. Sorry, a double crochet into the circle, isn't it? Then we do a chain of 6 and a double crochet and another chain of 6 and a double crochet and another chain of 6 and another double crochet and another chain of 3 and then a slip stitch into where that one was originally, so that's the set of 7 chain at the beginning. So you can see how you're building them up along the line, and then chain of 3, 1, 2, 3 and a double crochet, chain of 3, 1, 2, 3, a double crochet into the 4th, and that's how you're going to work all the way around the neckline until you get to the other end, and then there are instructions to do a partial flower at the other end. Do bear in mind that at some point you do have to sew these together, and if you're an experienced crocheter you may decide to slip stitch together at certain points and work backwards and forwards, but in the instructions you're actually told eventually to sew the seam up, so there are 1 or 2 extra lines to help you then be able to sew things together, so just bear that in mind when you get to the other end. So I hope you found that helpful, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.